Hi, and welcome to this podcast, Laughter Lab. I'm so happy to have you here. So I know all about you, and I know all the things that the cool things that you do. But would you like to tell us, to all the people out there that are going to be listening to this? Would you want to tell them what is it that you do?
Oh gosh, my name is Don Colliver. First of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Stefano. I teach communication primarily to larger tech companies in the Bay Area, as well as some other companies around the country. And I used to be a clown. I was a Blue Man for a short time with the Blue Man Group, and I toured as a clown for a company called Spiegel World, which is a contemporary circus. And I really love improv. I love sketch comedy, and I bring it into my work whenever I can.
That's fantastic. I love the fact that you said you used to be a clown because we have a similar path, and anyway. But I wanted to ask you. I'm a big believer in laughter and humor, in general, and especially in the workplace. So, what's the what is the connection that you have, or what's the relationship, the role actually that you had, the laughter and humor played in your life? And was there someone in your family when you were growing up that you felt like, oh, this person, was very funny, or I still remember their jokes or whatever?
Okay. Wow. Good two questions there. What was the first one? What role
Oh,
does
like what the role like laughter plays in your life, in your personal life, and maybe in your career?
Um, I feel like laughter itself is an important part, but it's become more about authenticity and connection for me. Sometimes that involves laughter, but in business, sometimes it just involves connection, and laughter can be an offset of that, but sometimes many times you're dealing with problems that need to be resolved, and laughter isn't appropriate. It can come, but uh, and I think more being amenable to whatever the situation requires, being able to hold the space, if you will, which is kind of a clown term, and certainly at appropriate times, laughter can be wonderful and vulnerability can be wonderful. And those two things can go hand to hand if navigated carefully. And then in terms of the person that kind of brought me a lot of laughter when I was younger, I think my father, who isn't with us anymore, was very funny and not in a joke set up punchline way, but in a silly way. And I often look for opportunities to bring that silliness into my life, and it's funny, I was just working on I'm in a advanced sketch writing group class outside of Los Angeles, and we were writing for Saturday Night Live cold opens, which are a very specific subset of sketches. And I had watched a few, and they need to be very of the moment, like commenting on current events. But as the more I watched, the more I realized that these jokes were super dumb. They were super silly jokes, like just like trip and fall and pants fall down kind of dumb jokes, not that clever.
Mhm.
And I think that's the one thing that we can all come together on is dumb jokes.
Yes, and yeah, very interesting because that's one of the very first. I mean, if I think about comedy, right, at the very beginning, like beginning of the century, if you look at like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, there was a lot of that, right? A lot of that kind of like humor, like a lot of slapstick. Maybe it's the most primitive way, but it's I don't know. I still enjoy it. Um, Thank you for sharing about your story and about your dad.
I
So
think the danger, it's interesting you say that primitive slapstick in such a divisive world right now. Once you get into specifics, you almost immediately get into disagreement.
mm,
And so finding the thing we can all agree on
mm.
is important.
Oh, I do agree with you. Yeah, totally. Especially during those times. But how would you say like laughter and humor, or would you say laughter and humor are important in the workplace?
Yeah. Yeah. At appropriate times for sure. I'm brought in often because people want to get shit done
Mm-hmm.
and they want to influence and persuade.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, humor is one tool in your toolbox, which I've learned because when I first came into it, I was like, oh, humor, improv, clown, this is the way, this is the way. And the more time I spent, I was like, it's one tool. And if that's all you use, you'll quickly be looked at sideways and be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Please get out of here. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
tool. It's great to have and bring levity into situations. There's a great book called Crucial Conversations that uh, allows awareness of in a meeting or where you're trying to gain consensus. If things are getting antagonistic, there's a very specific skill of being able to kind of take a pause and step back and invite the other person to talk about the conversation itself rather than the details and be able to be like, wow, we're getting kind of heated right now, right? And being able to look at it kind of in a meta perspective. Um, and sometimes I don't want to say a ha ha knee slap sense of humor is required, but an ability to look at things from a lighter point of view is required.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You say earlier, you mentioned like the fact that like it helps maybe solve problems about issues, right? And were you in a situation maybe in your career, and where you felt like, oh, laughter helped me, maybe with a client, or I don't know, at work, that like helped you solve something. Laughter and humor. I mean, I know they're not exactly the same, but they go together.
I think a sense of levity and lightness can help. The first thing that jumps to mind is unfortunately like huge failures, being able to accept huge failures and being able to look at things and not take them so seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, even that's, I'm misspeaking. I think still taking them seriously, but holding them lightly.
Mm,
Like I was up for a really big position late last year, and it was a month and a half series of multiple high pressure interviews, and I ended up not getting the position. And the fact was, I was bummed. I was really, really bummed. And but with time, with levity, I'm able to look back, and I'm not saying I'm laughing hilariously about it, but I have a gentler, I'm able to look at it with a smile and be like, I learned a lot there.
mm,
And I'm able to grow from that.
yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, yes, it definitely does help, and surely it wasn't funny at the moment, right? When you got that rejection, but now looking back, maybe you can laugh about it.
Hmm.
Um, I like this thing you said about failure, right? Because I think also coming from the world of clowning and that type of comedy, I think failure, it's one of the key element, right? It's very important to accept that, failure, and maybe we live in a society that struggles with that, right? Acceptance of failure. What is your thought on that?
Sure. I mean, I think it's super applicable in innovation situations. Certainly in folks with very analytical frames of mind or engineering,
Hmm.
they want a binary answer. And moving into situations where you're kind of dealing with a cloud of potential answers can be very uncomfortable to sit in that time
Mm,
because a lot of those answers are bad answers, but you can't chop them out too fast in the ideation process. And I'm so grateful for my improv experience because it lets you sit in that and find, I don't want to say comfort, but find potential in the time of how long can I wait to make a decision? How long can I wait and collect options? Um, and that can be very counterintuitive for some folks. And certainly if you're tasked with, oops, sorry about that. If
mhm,
you're tasked with gaining consensus in a group,
mm,
it's kind of your job to guide that ship and allow everyone to talk and throw in their possible divergent points of view, even people who don't want to say anything.
mm,
And that it's uncomfortable to disagree, you know,
mhm,
and uh but if you're in a situation where you are shepherding or you're a product manager or a project manager, technical program manager, and you're trying to move a group along with all different priorities, you need to hold that space, even if it feels uncomfortable to you and like these people aren't getting along. Like, we got to
mm,
solve this. I got to end it.
mm,
Um, Being okay with that, what feels like failure, but it's really just the process of reaching consensus,
mm,
is important. And as a clown, like as you know, when you come out and if you don't have a full bit and you're trying different things and seeing what the audience reacts to and then following this trail and maybe that trail doesn't work, so you bail on that and you're like, oh, I heard a laugh from this thing, I'm going to try this thing. It's very similar to that, and you really need a a deeper level of I don't want to say self-confidence, but like, I'm gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right.
mm,
Even if I'm bombing in this second, it's gonna be all right. Keep trying, you know, as
mm.
long as you don't, even if you do turn the audience against you. But yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. You mentioned like being authentic, authenticity, which I think it ties with this, right? With like clowning and acceptance, and but it's interesting because this is something that actually other people, in the podcast that mention, like maybe laughter and humor, as there is that connection with being authentic, right, and being real, being the moment, and maybe I don't know. Sometimes we're not always, authentic. We're not always real, and maybe even the workplace, we get a lot of pressure from from whatever, either the work or society in general, or we need to be a certain way, we need to behave a certain way, we need to look a certain way. Do you feel like that sometimes that happens in the workplace, that people maybe it's difficult for people to be authentic, or to really like be themselves?
Oh yeah. I mean, and I think it's required. I deal a lot with folks who have to present to executive leadership often. And the bottom line is if they do something weird, they will be fired.
Mhm,
And so there is no wacky. Like, that's not going to be helpful for me to advise them there.
mhm,
Um, However, so there is some elements where, especially in terms of influence and persuasion, that coming in and being your full weird self, not the best move in a lot of these situations, or in all of them, I should say, in when I'm talking in business. Uh, but I think honoring where you're at, being honest about when you don't know something, and realizing that your audience doesn't see what's going on in here. They only see this, what you do, what you say. So you can be freaking out and simply say, I'm going to get back to you offline on that. And even with a pause, and
mhm,
you'll come across as extremely confident and full of executive presence. Whereas in your brain, you might be screaming and yelling. Whereas, you know, in a clown exercise, if someone asked you, be like, I don't know, and like throw your papers up in the air and run around in a circle. Uh, not great. Not going to work.
Mhm.
Um, However, it is a good muscle to build. I do workshops where we do some subtle clown exercises, pushing teams into imperfection, intentional imperfection, in a very supported way,
Mhm.
where it's built to give wild support for imperfection, which is what improv is. And doing that allows people to start to trust their impulses more. So maybe in those executive leadership meetings, they can start to respond in a more authentic manner that comes out in an appropriate way.
I like that. Trust your impulses. I really like that. And I learned my on stage is like for me is like a mistake is only a mistake when you show it is a mistake, right? Because as you say, they people out there they don't know, right? They don't see what is happening in your head, whatever. Very interesting. So
Mhm.
let's say I'm one, I don't know, a business leader, a manager, a CEO, an executive that wants to bring more levity, more laughter, joy, humor, play in my workplace. Do you have any suggestions for me or simple stuff that I could do?
Hire me.
Yes. That's a good one.
uh,
Mhm.
but I mean, seriously, take improv classes. Oh my
Mhm.
God. It solves 90% of problems. Yeah,
Mhm.
I wanted to say presentation problems, but it solves team communication problems. It solves many problems if it's a skilled improv workshop. And you don't have to be funny, you don't have to be clever. Whose line is it anyway? Really spoiled that soup. Everybody thinks they need to be super quick, and you don't. It's not helpful. In fact, if you're that guy, everybody's gonna hate you. Like, don't be that quippy guy or person. But yeah, improv is the way to go.
Yes, I agree with you. So you say hire me. Okay, so let's talk about that. If I do want to hire you, where do I find you?
Just go to my website, doncolliver.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time and for this inspiring conversation. So thanks again for being in here with me in this podcast.
Thank you so much, Stefano.
All right, you take care.